Alrighty, everybody. Welcome. It's
Welcome, boys and girls.
Yes. Yes, that's Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Chelsea LeSage, and that's Charles.
Hello.
Wow, my brain just conked out. I called you
Gee, I
Charles
wonder why.
because I'm still obsessed with Carl.
Mhm.
That's it. And we're here talking about zombies again.
No, we're not.
Forever.
No.
No. Chelsea, no.
We're talking about the Wicker Man, as they say up in MA.
In MA.
Yes, the Wicker Man.
The Wicker Man.
Yeah.
He's a wicked pisser, that Wicker Man.
Yes. So, so it's a 1973 movie, starring Edward Woodward, Sir Christopher Lee. He was knighted for his contributions to cinema, so I feel we owe him calling him Sir.
Wow.
It had Ingrid Pitt. It had the daughter was Britt Eklund, and
Cool.
Annie Ross was also was also the same character.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because she was Swedish. So the daughter was actually a Swedish actress.
Oh.
So she was dubbed by Annie Ross for her talking voice and Rachel Verney as her singing voice.
What?
Yes.
Why?
I guess because her accent was so strong when she spoke English. And she was also pregnant at the time, so she had if you notice when you see her from the front, it's only from the boobs up.
Oh yeah, you're right. I just thought that maybe she didn't want to show her vagina.
I mean, when you see her from behind and she pretty much squats, you pretty much see it anyway.
You pretty much see it anyway. Yes,
And that was a double.
Really?
Yeah, that was a double because she was pregnant.
I just feel like there was a lot of effort put into that.
I guess they were just like, look how gorgeous she is. She has to be like this person.
We'll do whatever it takes.
I mean, she was pretty damn pretty, so.
She's not my type.
Yeah, see, that's, well, yeah, I know. Maybe now she is.
The older ladies.
But yeah, this was also Sir Christopher Lee's favorite role.
Really?
Yeah, and he actually had the Guinness World Record for the most movie roles.
What?
He had 266 movie roles since 1948.
What?
Yeah, a total of 275 if you count television and stage.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
Was he the Summer Isle dude?
Yes, Lord Summer.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
His absolute favorite role, even though he said the movie was a shadow of what we shot because the studio made them cut out a half hour.
Really?
Yeah, in fact, there is, which, I can't imagine what that's like. But there is no director's cut there is a director's cut released, but that was the only footage they could find, which is only 6 minutes longer than this version. The director says that they cannot find all the original footage. Well, before he passed away.
Whoa.
He had tried to find all the original footage because originally the movie was just bless you. Originally the movie was just under 2 hours.
Okay.
And when it got purchased by the studio, they made him cut out about a half hour.
Wow.
So
they shot it and then it was purchased.
Yeah. Well, because the company that shot it what happened was the company that shot it was purchased.
Oh.
And all of their films now went to this new company.
Shit.
And that new company basically went through everything and was like, we're taking this, we're cutting that, we're doing, yeah.
So that means that, I'm sure that there were things, when this was bought, there were whole projects that just never finished post.
Oh, I'm
they
sure.
were like, this is useless.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the director says that he really enjoys the film and that he thinks it still works, but it isn't as good as it was, is what he said.
It's something you would never say.
Yeah, of course not. And Christopher Lee has said that he feels the version that we shot was a shadow of what the film should have been.
Oh.
Yeah. And what I find really interesting, and then we'll get into the film itself, it's described as Anthony Schaefer's The Wicker Man, when the director was Robin Hardy.
Whoa.
I
What?
don't, I
I'm
don't,
learning so much. I
yeah,
wasn't ready for this.
yeah, no, I don't think I've ever seen this before because Anthony Schaefer was the screenwriter.
What the fuck?
I've, I've, I mean, can you think of another movie except like Stephen King stuff that
No.
credits the writer as the person who the film belongs to and not the director?
No, I don't know. But I love how you have a poster of me on the wall behind you.
Well, yes, it's because I'm obsessed with you. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm at your apartment at all.
That makes me seem like I'm obsessed with myself. I'm just proud of my work, okay?
Yeah, no. Everyone who's an artist, I think, has posters of their stuff all around.
Oh, great. I feel less terrible about
In
myself
my
now.
oh my god, in my band days, my whole fucking room was like flyers of ours and shit, and
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy also that they put one of those weird little "this is based on a true story" things that movies love to do in the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah.
With the
So
producers
silly.
would like to thank Lord Summerisle and the people of his island off the west coast of Scotland for the privileged insight into their religious practices and their generous cooperation in making of this film.
It's so silly and I love it.
Yeah. So the other thing that's very interesting, but yeah, Britt Eklund, she, as I said, she was willing to be nude and then discovered she was pregnant, and then it was like, oh well, we have to find someone else for to not show this. So
That's so crazy.
yeah.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, they used Lorraine Peters, a nightclub dancer from Glasgow, for the doorway and against the wall of the bedroom.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I feel like, definitely she's a better dancer than I am, but that whole routine, I just was like, this person's not a dancer. She was. Oh, interesting. Things were different in Glasgow in the 70s.
What I also love is that apparently the script was not a musical.
No, this is a musical.
Oh no, but that's what's great. Apparently during production, the director surprised the entire cast by suddenly announcing midway through filming that this was now a musical.
Had they already shot like a song or something? I wonder what order they shot things in.
I don't know. Apparently they had not shot any of the musical numbers, but then he shot them. And it was kind of like I guess like well, what are we shooting tomorrow? And it's like, oh, the musical number. It's like, wait, what?
What?
Yeah, first musical number. This is a musical now.
That's some shit we'd pull.
And Edward Woodward also said that The Wicker Man was one of his favorite films, and that the character of Sergeant Howie was the best part he ever played.
Really?
Yeah, Woodward has also said he feels the final shot of the film is the best final shot of any film ever made.
What's the final shot of the film?
It's
the sunset?
It's the head of the
the
Wicker
head going
Man
down?
falling, and then the sunset.
The sunset, yeah.
Which is a good
It was
shot.
pretty great.
I don't know if I'd call it the best shot ever in history of film, but it's a damn good shot.
See, it's good to see other people loving the work they do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet Christopher Lee had posters of the Wicker Man all around his apartment.
So my little funny fucking thing is that because I'm at my mother's house still because of my leg, right? So that my stepfather figure, I told him that this was this week's movie, and he was like, the one with Nicolas Cage, and I was like, no, we're watching the original this week, and he was like, nope, that is the original. I was like, nope. No, it's not. There's one from the 70s. I would have seen it if there was. No, well, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow when you get home. Okay, we're gonna watch it together, and you'll see that it's not Nicolas Cage. And like at the end of it, he was like, "Yeah, that wasn't Nicolas Cage." I was like, "So finally, you realize this is not Nicolas Cage." And he was like, "That's very different than the other one." And I was just like, "Well, you can watch the other one too, okay? You can watch the other one with me too."
Oh my God.
So sweet. So, but he was so adamant. He was like, nope. Came out with Nicolas Cage, and he's like, he prides himself on like knowing movies from this time period too. And he was like, they wouldn't do that movie in the 70s. They wouldn't. He was like, oh baby, you have no idea.
This
So
is such a 70s movie, man.
And just his face throughout, like when like musical numbers happened, or like, you know, he'd catch something on a tombstone or whatever, or the ejaculation, whatever the fuck it said. Like he'd be like, this movie's different. Or his eyes, I just look over into his eyes and be bugging out of his head, and he'd look over and be like, what the fuck is happening?
Did you watch him during the Britt Eklund's dance?
Yeah, he was just like, she's fucked up. Why he was like, there's lots of boobies in this. And then my other favorite Errol thing was like the woman crying on the tombstone, and he was just like, her coochie's gotta be real cold.
I almost want him to be a guest on this show.
It'd be like, and then this fucked up shit happened. And then this was fucked up.
Oh
it's
man.
cute.
So
Yeah,
let's go right
about
into
the movie.
Yeah, so why don't you start off with that incredibly 70s British lion logo?
The British Lion, whatever the production company is that what it was? Yeah, no, it's just this whole intro, I think, is just so ridiculous, and they were just trying to show off the fact that they had a seaplane. Like that's what I think it was. But yeah, no, very, very British opening, very, very like masturbatory, but still beautiful opening scene of like this seaplane just going over this picturesque, like the Scottish Isles or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah,
It's
I
beautiful.
saw that and I was like, I want to visit Scotland now. I hope I'm allowed.
I hope I'm allowed.
As long as it's still in the UK, that's a question mark. But
That's a question mark. Yeah. Charles has. I can't go to Russia. Charles can't go to the UK. Everything's fine.
Off the air, tell me the Russia story.
Oh yeah.
So, so we see Edward Woodward's character, Sergeant Howie. I in my head, I just went through literally every rank of police officer in my head. I was like,
good for you.
I was like officer, detective, and finally got to sergeant.
You did it! Yay!
Yes. So, among the scenes that were cut out, was apparently we saw his life, in London. We saw him get the case, and we saw him investigating in England before actually going to the island.
Yeah, that's like a thing that I feel like should have been in there, because you're just like, why this guy? Why was he the one where this happened to?
Yeah.
And we unanswered questions.
Yeah, like we even, from what I read, there was a scene where, I don't know, there was a nude woman or something, and the other police officers made a comment of it, and he just was disgusted. And it was kind of showing how he's like kind of that uptight, prudish type of guy.
He really is. Well, Jesus is the way.
And we also met his fiance in the original version too.
Oh, so we had people who cared about him.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I would like to see that.
Yeah. Well, it's apparently a lot of the original footage is literally in a fucking pylon in a highway in England now.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what's a pylon?
It's kind of like when you see like the a highway and it has it's starting to go up an incline. And yeah.
Fuck.
Hell,
that makes me sad.
There are episodes of the original. That was the thing. England just would. It's so shocking to me that early films before digital, or even before VHS, would just throw out their footage.
Why?
Like any extras they had, they would just throw it out. The BBC actually just went and re-recorded over original Doctor Who episodes.
No.
Yeah, there are episodes that don't exist anymore, because there was no way for people to record them in the 60s. And the BBC, to save money, would just re-record over stuff over and over again until you couldn't use the tape anymore.
Wow.
So, that's the one show I know, but I'm sure that probably that applied to probably every fucking show that they did.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
There was, until VHS, there was no idea to preserve extra footage of stuff.
My mind is blown. I'm not happy.
Yeah. So apparently all that footage was shot, but no one has any access to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, like they listed his fiance in the credits, but you never see her.
She's listed in the credits?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think she might be. You might see her for a second in the church scene, but that's it. But there's no way to know which woman in that church scene is her.
I have things to say about this church scene when we get there.
I
have words.
Which was a flashback. They made it into a flashback. Originally, it was in the beginning of the film.
Oh, yeah. I have things to say about it.
All right. Well, when we get to it, we will get to it. So, I kind of love that Edward Woodward plays him like he's got a giant stick up his ass the whole fucking movie.
He actually even looks like he has a stick up his ass the entire movie.
Oh, his posture and fucking, yeah.
Like, holier than thou, like, I am better than you. And he probably is that way, like, in his home life, too, and probably beats his fiance. Like, he just seems like that kind of guy. And he's like, this is for God. Or he has a fiance who's also fucking boring and pious. And yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, like, I mean, he definitely seemed like the type who would like slap a woman if she got out of line. But I get the feeling if he's married to a woman, she probably doesn't get out of line.
Yeah. Or they self-flagellate in a little shrine in their closet.
It's funny.
Like, who are you to judge these people?
The director even talked about how, like, he looks at America and America terrifies him now because he's like, when I wrote this character, I thought of him as this zealot, and now I look at the American right wing and I'm like, he would fit right in. And in fact, he would be considered a moderate by a lot of them.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay away from here.
Yeah.
It's not safe.
Well, he can't go anywhere. He's dead, but
no, it's all about reincarnation, not resurrection.
Yes. So he lands on a police plane and he asks for a dinghy, which I giggled every time he said he'd like a dinghy.
Oh, can I have a dinghy? Can I have a dinghy? Yeah, this was Arrow went, oh, dinghy. dinghy.
And everyone in Summer Isle seems confused by him, and they tell him it's private property. You can't land here without permission.
And it's Jesus Christ.
Because obviously, and then he explains he's a police officer, and they can go on private property. I can only imagine what would happen if a filmmaker were to think that police were not allowed on private property, Chelsea.
Oh God. We are referencing the movie.
Yeah, don't give her the press, but explain the story, Chelsea.
Yes, so it was these socks are from Pokemon. Cool. The squirrel. Fuck me. Yes, so the premise is that there's some people are disappearing in a state park. But it's privately owned, so the police can't go in there. The whole premise of the movie.
Yes, and I remember when I read that in the script and saying to you, I was like, wait a minute, the police can't go in private property?
It's not in their jurisdiction, though it's a state park.
Yeah,
too.
Yes. Police not being allowed in private property would mean that I could like stab somebody, especially when it's people calling because, oh my God, there are killer fucking cannibal hillbillies after us. And they're like, we're sorry, we can't do anything about that.
It's not in our jurisdiction.
Yeah, like, that would mean that I could go and stand in, like, the foyer of a building and just stab people. And the police, I'd be like, oh, you can't get me now, police. Uh-oh.
That's private property.
Uh-oh, private property. And they'd be like, God damn it. Well, but if you ever come out of there, son, we'll arrest you because this street is public.
Just absolutely horrible. And also, like, sidebar, harbor masters are literally there to help people. And it is like, it says harbor master like in the shot. And there's a ton of people, like there's so many people there, and I guarantee you everyone there don't like that all of those people don't live on this private property, but they're allowed to be there, and harbor masters are there to help people. And they're just like, no.
So I could go to any any harbor master and just ask for a dinghy, and they have to give me it.
If they're there, yeah, that's kind of their job.
Oh, well, there we
You're
go.
like, hey, I need help.
Oh, as a landlubber, I just learned.
A landlubber.
Yes, a landlubber. So everybody in the village seems fascinated by him being here. They pick him up in a boat. Is that what a dinghy is? The little boat? Okay. And the dinghy has an eye on it. Shades
It's
of
an
Veronica.
eye dinghy.
Anyway, so
everything is Veronica.
Yes, I love how he comes in full fucking uniform too.
I mean, like, if you're like unofficial police business, they'd also probably like. I feel like, I don't know, if it's like this island where people don't really leave or like go there, then they should fucking like he should have given them a heads up because there's this fucking seaplane just randomly showing up. You should have notified someone.
Not to mention, I mean, wouldn't they have their own law enforcement?
But there wasn't any law enforcement. No, I just kept like I kept writing, these people don't know what cops are.
Yeah, but I'm like,
they don't know.
But I'm saying, like, he didn't even ask if there was any sort of constable, or maybe he did and that got cut. Who knows?
That's true.
Maybe there actually was some sort of police there, but it was just cut. We don't know. So
it seems like no, though. These people don't know what authority figures are. If you're like, it's like Lord Summer Isle is God, and that's it.
Yeah. And so he is looking for a missing girl named Rowan Morrison. He received an anonymous letter directed to him personally.
And this is when I'm just like, why him?
There you go.
Curious as to why him. Everyone just on the mainland hated him so much that they set him up for this. Everyone knew, and his fiance did it. Nobody knows this girl. Yes. Yeah. Nobody knows this girl. You can kind of tell they're full of shit. They pass he passes a photo around of Rowan to a bunch of old white men. And so they figure out that May is her mother, like, which is just, these people are like bad liars, but like, just like convincing enough where I'm like, this guy's got the wrong island.
That would be a very short movie. I'm sorry, I'll head right on back.
All right, I'll be back. I'll be back.
So he goes
is her mother.
To May's combination post office candy store.
Yeah, which is just insane because her fucking like the things that she has are just crazy. Like her confectionery is like there's like this baby cake or like short person cake
and a lot of chocolate skulls.
Lots of chocolate skulls, and she hates rabbits, apparently. Silly old rabbits, so she makes hares.
Yes, lovely March hares.
Lovely March. It's like the one accent. I can't fucking do that accent.
Oh, I love that accent so much.
Disappoint all of my people.
Yes. So he shows May, who is the May Morrison, a picture of Rowan Morrison, and she says that's not her daughter. But she introduces Myrtle, her daughter, who is about 9 or so.
Yes, and Myrtle also really likes hares.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like...
Spoiler, because they fuck a lot. That's pretty much why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm pretty. Tell me I'm so pretty. Whatever. Myrtle has a really cool... I really like the bows in her hair. That's what I remember about Myrtle. But so the mother goes away basically, and the kid is drawing a hare, and she asked about Rowan, and of course, and Myrtle was like, "Of course I know her, silly. She's in the field." And it's the hare that she's talking about.
Yeah,
Rowan.
Yeah. So she invites him to stay for a cup of tea, but then it immediately cuts to him going to the Green Man Inn.
Yeah, but I also love that, like, the staying for tea. She goes, "You must be thirsty with asking all these questions." I was like, "Ooh, May is salty."
See, their whole thing, like, I'm so very familiar with like Irish people, and that felt very much like any time I've met like a girl I've dated's family.
Hmm. Gertrude, what do you need, sweetheart? I need food. No one's ever fed me.
Aw.
She's fat. That's why I'm saying it.
So he goes to the Green Man Inn. The locals do the cowboy movie thing when he walks in, where they're all quiet.
Yes, it's all quiet on the Western Front.
Which is very uncomfortable, by the way. That actually happened to me in Texas once, and I was like, "Wow, that's
That
a
makes
bad
sense,
sign."
though.
What?
That makes sense. That would happen to you in Texas.
Yeah, but I'm like, that's a bad sign. Am I gonna have to fucking like? I don't have a gun. I hope no one challenges me to anything.
Am I going to be challenged to a duel?
Yeah.
I'll take bull riding. I'll take bull riding.
Yes.
I'll go to the rodeo. Do not
So-
shoot me.
So we meet the landlord of Alder McGregor,
Alda McGregor.
and how he wants supper and a place to sleep, and he's very rude about it.
And he doesn't even offer them money.
Yeah.
You know, like, cops gotta pay for shit too, man.
Yeah.
You don't
So-
know these people.
His daughter, he says his daughter Willow will show her to the room, and Willow is Pitt Eklund, and we get a song about the landlord's daughter, about how pretty much everyone wants to fuck her.
It's literally, and she doesn't give a fuck.
No.
Like, she doesn't give a fuck. They're just objectifying her like left and right, and she's like, "This is great."
Nothing can delight so as does the part that lies between her toes, her left toe and right toe. Like,
Yeah, it's bad. You'll never love another. Like what? And there's like this big man who's just humping her, and she's okay with it. She's like, "Yay!"
yeah, and I was just and like it's. I mean, it's dirty too. It's almost a fucking sea shanty. Like,
No, it's true. It's true.
and I remember like watching this, and I was like, as a woman, like Chelsea, if your father's friends just made a sea shanty about how they all wanted to bone you, and they performed it whenever new people came in, like,
probably light them all on fire. I'd light the building on fire.
yeah, like that. I was
Messed
like,
up.
wow, like she's right there. They're not even waiting until she's out of the room, and she's like, oh, it's so great. They wrote a song about wanting to fuck me.
Woohoo!
Like,
This is great.
and Howie, of
Oh
course.
my god, look, I literally wrote I'd light them all on fire. I literally wrote that.
And Howie interrupts the musical number because he wants his supper now. I love the fact that this is basically a musical where the lead character is a guy who doesn't want to be in a musical.
Yeah, it's like they just didn't tell him.
Yeah. Like, I love how he just kind of like interrupts songs.
He has some severe PTSD from musicals and just hates them.
Yes, he actually grew up. He was Oliver Twist as a kid.
He was starring Oliver Twist. What?
Yes.
What? So he's there on official business. So he passes the photo of Rowan around to the customers, and there's photos of what is this festival of Summer Isle, and it's like every single year, but one is missing.
Yeah,
And everyone
1972.
looks, and everyone kind of looks similar to her. It's like in the photo is like all the crops, and then from the harvest, and then like a girl in like a white gown. Yeah, but it's there, and he says it got broke when he asked what happened to it, and I was like, I'm just gonna say that, like, Chelsea, why didn't you get this assignment? It got broke. Chelsea, why aren't you here? I got broke.
So
but supper is really ready, and he hates it. He's just an asshole.
yeah, he's so rude about it. He's saying it looks disgusting.
Yeah, and he's just like, these are canned. This place is supposed to be famous for their vegetables, and this is canned stuff.
And fucking Willow just looks at him and is like, I mean, she's like just talking about vaginas the whole time. Like with her, like some things that are natural state have the most vivid colors. And like,
what is up with this girl? See, like, I know you love her. I just was like, no.
Oh, I told her.
Gotta go.
Oh, I 100% would have gone to the next room, but then the movie would have been over. But but they're only looking for virgins, so I certainly wouldn't have been invited.
I like also can't believe, like, because you think he's probably like 40 or something.
Yeah.
Realistically, I'm like, God, like Steve Carell could never. The 40-year-old virgin. What? This was the original. It's crazy.
So, so food isn't everything in life, and he leaves the inn, and there's a lot of people boning outside the inn.
Yes, there's a lot of a weird orgy, and it's like happening in slow motion.
It's in
You can,
like choppy slow motion because back in the day they didn't realize that to get smooth slow motion you have to shoot in 60 frames per second.
hmm
So, and I don't think cameras were even capable of shooting at 60 frames per second at the time. So,
they did the best they could.
yeah, so you just
Lots
get
of people
very,
boning.
very choppy boning, and then you see a naked woman crying at a tombstone. Others are
Yes,
watering the graves. Um,
her coochie's got to be real cold.
yeah.
So
In
he
the,
goes to his room and he's a dick. That's
yeah,
what I wrote.
yeah, he prays at his bedside. We see him at church receiving communion, and then he's talking. Which, okay, you talk about
Yeah,
this.
this is the thing because he can't like this is what your priest says or your monsignor. The whole like spiel he's going through. He doesn't have that's not his jurisdiction. Like a sergeant, unless you are the priest, but you can see the priest giving him communion. He is not supposed to be saying what he's saying. Like a cop doesn't do that. That's whoever runs the church, like gives that whole spiel.
Would it be different in the COE? So sorry, Church of England, as
No, because they're Christians.
yeah.
Like this is the same kind of church that I grew up at. They don't like that's
You grew up at
not.
a church. I thought you were Catholic.
Yeah, but they still literally. I don't remember what he said. I didn't write it down, but I was
Yeah.
like, nope, that's what a priest says before giving communion.
Yeah.
That's not. You can't just randomly. Some random fucker can't just get up there and be like, "Body of Christ, amen."
Yeah.
No, that's not. You're not allowed to do that
Yeah.
because this is God's property,
Yeah.
which
So
is
if
private property.
yeah, I mean, I'll go with your word on it. I don't remember any of my Catholic upbringing because I mostly just fantasized about sex during mass.
As
And
God intended.
yes, I was doing what he said: be fruitful and multiply. That was what my thoughts were about. So, if anyone out there in jolly old England has a correction on this, where they just allow random people to speak, or if like maybe church leaders or whatever, or people who are very active in the church, let us know. But yeah, this was weird to me too. I was like, he appears to be some sort of religious figure or something. I don't know, but
Like you could be a deacon, but it's never established.
yeah. But once again, this is what happens when you cut a half hour out of the movie. So maybe this would have been a lot clearer.
Yeah. I don't know. I hate it though.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not okay.
Yeah. So he's in his bedroom and we hear footsteps. And another musical number.
His name.
Yeah, another musical number begins. Willow's song, which actually the Sneaker Pimps covered.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they covered this song. And she's trying to tempt him to come to the next room and fuck her.
And he like has a really hard time not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just was like, she's got to have like she's either a witch or she's got like her pheromones, like she's got some magical vagina or something. I don't know because he's having a hard time not going to see her.
I bet he's having a hard time. I absolutely love the part where she just starts looking directly at the camera during this. And it's like I just imagine there were all sorts of like certain movements in movie theaters all around the world when that happened in the 70s.
Jesus Christmas!
As I said, I think she's gorgeous. I would have 100% gone to the next room, but
The movie over. What do you think would have happened if he went to the next room?
you know what? The director says that was actually testing him. That was testing to see if he's worthy. I think she would have fucked him, but then they would have just been like, "Oh, here's Rowan. She's fine. You can leave."
You just spoiled the whole movie.
But the thing is that the director said is he says, "No, I realized no, they didn't have a plan B in case he gave up his virginity that night."
Yeah. Well, then they wouldn't have been able to like go through with the sacrifice, right?
Yeah, because that was the thing he said. He's like, that had he gone through, then she would have fucked him, but he no longer would have been worthy for the sacrifice. So, and then they asked, well, what would have they done otherwise? He goes, Anthony never wrote that, so I don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I loved it. Her slapping the walls and touching them and rubbing them and all that sort of stuff. I mean, but he looked like he just came in his fucking nightgown at one point.
He probably did.
Like,
Yeah, he's like
yeah, you
shaking,
never know.
sweating.
Yeah.
He wakes up
Yeah.
to a maypole.
Yeah.
No. I
Yeah.
hated her whole sequence. I was just like, this is too long.
That's no man would ever look at that and go, this is too long. I imagine there's probably 10 more minutes of that sequence if you watch it like the uncut version.
That's probably true, but like, and I was like, it's uncomfortable watching it with your 81-year-old stepfather figure.
What the hell
He
movie?
he was just
Oh
like,
my God,
oh,
my old guitar player told me he watched Game of Thrones with his mom once, and that was a mistake
Oh.
because it was the day the Knight of Flowers was blowing another guy.
See, at least that like our like parental figures generation, they're learning things.
Yeah. Yeah, but he said it was like, okay, he's going down, and he's like, all right, that's bad. But then they Game of Thrones was real big on their sex noises, so you start hearing the fucking noise of sucking, and he's like, okay, Mom, we're turning this off right now. I can't sit here and watch a dude blow at another dude while you're sitting next to me.
That's so funny. That's really funny.
So
yeah, no, not a good.
She wakes
not a
him up
great
with
call.
breakfast. She's flat out about it. It wasn't like a lot of movies would have been like, were you trying to seduce me last night? No, officer, I have no idea what you're talking about.
She's like, I wish you came to see me.
Yeah. Here she's like, you should have come in and fucked me. And he's like, I'm engaged to be married, and I love does that stop you?
Oh, that stops you, and
I
he
must
doesn't
say
believe
you're
in
a
sex
gallant
before
fella.
marriage. Yeah. I know that was, and her just like her. That was another thing that Errol kept being like. He was like, "You're a gallant fellow," and he like said it for the rest of the day. It was really cute.
So,
yes,
yeah, go on.
That's when we learn he's a virgin too.
Yes. And so now we go to the maypole ceremony, where on that tree there was a limb, and on that limb there was a branch, and on that branch there was a nest, and in that nest there was an egg, and in that egg there was a bird, and on that bird a feather came, and of that feather was a bird. The bed. Yeah, there was a bed.
Yeah.
And on that bed there was a girl, and on that girl there was a man, and from that man there was a seed. From that seed there was a boy, and from that boy there was a man, and for that man there was a grave, and on that grave there grew a tree. I love those lyrics so much.
I hated it.
And I'll tell you, like, I remember, like, just like, wow, that's so bawdy. Like, on that bed there was a girl, and on that girl there was a man.
It's messed up. I hate it.
Fucking musical.
It is, and it's all little boys, like school children around it, and they're doing some weird ass fucking movements, man. Like, I was thinking about how the 1960s movie, the Romeo and Juliet, that those actors are suing them for like underage nudity and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're suing Paramount. I was like, I bet people could sue from this movie.
I mean, none of these kids are nude, but like,
No.
yeah. Although I imagine that these actors had a whole bunch of questions for their parents after the movie was done.
No, definitely.
Mom, what's a phallic symbol?
Mom, what's a phallic symbol? Oh my goodness.
I love that he walks into the like all girls class as she's explaining the image of the penis and
No, it's just like the question, the phallic symbol. It's so fucked up. Miss Susie is her name? Is that her name or no?
Miss Rose.
Where did I get Susie? The fuck is Susie? Oh, Chelsea. Yeah, so there's an empty desk, and there's just like he's just like, this is Rowan's desk, but it's where they torture some fucking poor beetle instead. Like, it's so fucked up.
Yeah.
Fucking fucked up.
So he is very offended by them talking about this. And this is all just degeneracy, according to him.
Yeah, it is. It's degeneracy, and like he threatens to like have them all arrested and all of that, like all the authority figures, because they're teaching young kids this. He's like, I knew there's something wrong with this place, and it starts here with what you're teaching them. And I'm like, what do you know? I hate that, like, I don't like the people on this island, but I defend them because this guy sucks.
Yeah. See, I want to live in this island. Like, to me, I always watch this movie and I'm like, how is this a horror movie? It's just like this perfect utopian island where all this asshole comes and starts fucking being a dick. And then
Yeah,
they
it's
they
true.
kill him, which is what he deserved.
It's true. Hey, Charles, I hate to do this, but I'm going to wet the bed if I don't go pee right now.
All right, then this will be a word from our sponsor, Depends. And we'll be back in 2 and 2. All right, yeah, so we're back. Chelsea floated away in a stream of urine, and then we're back here now. Um, where we were last at, he was about to go and erase Miss Rose's lesson on the blackboard because he's just that much of a dick.
Well, it's also just like that's just so rude. It continues on with him just being like the biggest dick in the world. Like, I didn't read what was still left up there, but like she had some really nice handwriting, and maybe she took some time like to do that.
It was
And he
on
was
the
just a
different
dick
healing.
about it.
It was on the different healing properties of different crystals and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and then he goes to the registrar's office after that. You already talked about the little girl's desk because he didn't see the little girl's desk until he was at the blackboard. But now he goes to the registry, and he's still a dick because he doesn't even have a fucking warrant.
No, he doesn't have a warrant. Well, I love how he wants to see like the list of children, right? Like the list of like kids who go to school there, and it just happens to be in Miss Rose's like desk at the front of the classroom. I was like, this is such a small place where it's just there. It's not even in a different room. But yeah, he's at the registry and he's just a fucking asshole. I don't know.
You're all despicable little liars.
You're all despicable little liars. Yep, yep. I just and these kids just, it's got to be hard on these kids to just lie too, but maybe not if that's like what they're raised to do.
Well, I imagine that it's more like if you really wanted to do it, I would basically say that they're playing a game.
Oh yeah.
That's the easiest way. If you think about it, we're gonna fool the policeman, it's gonna be a fun game. I think that's how they're looking at it.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So she takes him outside to talk to him, and and she basically, says that he probably doesn't want to be around for the rites and rituals of May Day.
Yeah, he keeps being warned to not be around for May Day.
Yeah, yeah, and and he says that she's a liar, and she says no, she's not. If Rowan Morrison existed, we would know.
That's so fucked up.
So
fucked up.
So he asks if she's dead, and he says that we believe when human life is over, the soul returns to trees, to air, to fire, to water, to animals. So Rowan Morrison is simply returned to a life force in another form.
It's easier for kids to understand reincarnation than resurrection.
Yeah. And that's when he's super angry that the kids never learn anything of Christianity.
This is because this is a Christian nation or whatever the fuck it says at some point.
And I love that she says it upsets the children. The rotting bodies are a big stumbling block to the imagination of children about Christianity.
It's so messed up. Yeah, because there's not a churchyard. The churchyard isn't used for Christian worship anymore. He's just like, I don't know. The lack of Jesus is very upsetting to him.
Yes. Yeah. So he wants to know where the rotting body of Rowan Morrison is.
Yeah, it's just such a great way to put it.
Yeah. So he goes to the graveyard, which is very beautiful, actually.
Yeah, that was another Errolism. He was just like, those graveyards fucked up, but it makes sense with these fucked up people. Yeah, it's really pretty. There's like, I don't know, little like homages to the dead because they're not dead. They're in a different life form.
Yes. And one is protected by the ejaculation of serpents.
Which is what Charles wants on his grave.
No, I don't want that on my grave. I want to be protected by the ejaculation of serpents when I die, though.
Yeah, that sounds legit.
Yes.
It does. So there's a woman randomly holding an egg and breastfeeding at the same time, and she's really terrible at holding her baby.
Well, she's breastfeeding, but she's offering him an egg in his trying time, which is an Always Sunny reference that I wish you got. So,
yeah, no.
I'll just say that Danny DeVito at a certain point offers a woman an egg, and he's like, "May I offer you an egg in your trying times?"
That's hilarious.
So,
I love that.
He just carries a fucking egg in his pocket.
See, that's not safe. I wouldn't trust myself. I mean, like, it would just break, wouldn't it? Is it hard boiled? I have questions.
Yeah. So he smashes the offerings because he's just the worst.
Yeah, he's a terrible. These people are weird, but he's a terrible person.
Yeah. So he makes it. He out of the wood of the stuff he smashed, he makes a cross and he leaves it on a grave. And then we see. So they never say this character's name. So every time I see this actor, I just was Deltoid because that was his name in A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, so that's funny. I wrote the Gravedigger.
Yeah. So I just wrote, we see Mr. Deltoid mowing the graveyard.
And also, like, it looked more like a vacuum than a mowing thing, which I thought was hilarious. I mean, it was definitely a lawnmower. It was a 70s lawnmower that I assume you have on a weird island. But I was like, it looked just like a vacuum. So you know this guy's going to be great.
Yeah.
No matter what he does. I just had a feeling. Yeah.
So he shows him Rowan's grave, the Rowan plant on the grave of Rowan Morrison. And they're late with the gravestone, but they hung the poor wee lass's navel string.
I was wondering, I missed that part. I was like, what part of that is her? Like, so was that her umbilical cord?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which I guess they keep and then put on your gravestone.
That's so weird. Those also shrivel up over time, so that doesn't really make any sense.
I mean, it just kind of looked like bacon, which is what I think they probably used in the film.
Yeah. And so the idea of a minister is brought up, and he laughs at the idea of there being a minister.
Yeah,
I love that.
While May is putting a frog in her daughter's mouth back at the post office, as most post offices.
Yes, and I was just nervous. I was like, "That's a live frog. Don't hurt the frog." But I was thinking about that little actress, like having to put a frog in her mouth for real. I was just like, did she know when she signed up for this?
I almost feel like the little girl having to be convinced to do it was the older actress really convincing the younger actress to just put it in your mouth.
And the whole idea was that she was giving the frog her sore throat.
Yes.
So silly.
Which works, actually.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
From experience.
Yes. Because I know if you have a sore throat and then you put your tongue in someone's mouth, you get a sore throat too, or they do. Doesn't make you feel better, but it does give them the sore throat too.
It makes them feel worse, which makes you in turn feel better.
Yeah. So it.
Kiss your enemies is the moral of the story, boys and girls.
Yeah. So here's where he goes to the register without a warrant. And he demands to see the index of death. She says he has to go see Lord Summerall. And he gives it a list. He notices the older people have names from the Bible, but there's no record of Rowan Morrison's death.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. And he just demands this register. It's fucked up.
Yeah, he's just a dick. He's a dick.
And again, he's never asking, is there an authority figure that's not this Lord Summerall? You know?
He needs to eat a jar of foreskins.
Yes, which I'm sure that they have.
They showed the jar of foreskins.
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah, they showed the jar of foreskins.
Yeah, Mr. Lennox, who is the chemist / photographer in the town.
He might be my favorite.
So, I think they literally just show nothing much happens in this scene. I think it's just to establish that there's a place that he can develop pictures.
Yeah, nothing. Because I wonder, what is your goal here, sir?
Yeah.
Sergeant. What is your goal? And he somehow finds conveniently what he's looking for. But really, if they're going to cut out a half hour of this movie, I don't understand why this part was in it.
Yeah. So now we see women going through the field. They're singing another jaunty tune about fire and seed to make the baby grow.
Yeah, take the flames inside you, make the baby grow, all this shit, and they're jumping over a flame and they're all naked.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it, was like, imagine just seeing all this shit. Like, just like randomly just visiting a place and just seeing all of these crazy things. Like, I don't know.
But that's the thing. I would be like, oh, wow, this is an awesome place. Like, but I think, honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, like, I wasn't raised in Christianity until I was 4. And my mother was a witch when I was a kid.
Okay,
so for me, all this talk of, children learning about fertility and nudity and all that stuff was very normal for me.
Right.
So, like, for me, this is not a weird island at all, except, like, like...
Isn't it, though, Charles? Come on.
The only weird part is the human sacrifice at the end, really.
Well, yeah. I hate any Also, like, thinking about that, too, you didn't know if all the chickens and, like, the cow and pigs, you didn't know if they were virgins. Like, that's a plot hole.
Now, there you go. So,
and I hate it.
Yeah, so Howie is just annoyed by all these musical numbers, and he comes upon the castle of Lord Summerisle, played by the late Sir Christopher Lee, in his very lavish and very busy house.
So busy. It's just, like, adorned with things from, like, the way things used to be, or, like, it's not even just the history of the island. It's, like, the history of, I don't know, I guess the UK itself. There's just portraits everywhere. It's nuts. There's firearms everywhere.
I trust the sight of young people refreshes you.
Yeah, and he's like, no. I guess that he's also, the Lord Summerisle is also the Justice of the Peace. Yeah. And somehow the Justice of the Peace is the one who gives permission to exhume graves, which I don't think that that's real. I don't know. Someone tell us. I was like, that doesn't make sense. JOPs just marry people. Yeah. But maybe they also bring back the dead. I don't know. I want to be one.
I just love by Howie being horrified by the nudity of the girls around the fire. And of course, he's like, naturally, it's dangerous to jump over a fire with your clothes on.
Yeah. It's dangerous to jump through fire with your clothes on. I just was like, that's amazing. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense. Yes, Gertrude, what do you need? Do you want to be a part of the podcast? Okay.
Come
here, child.
Going to be our special guest?
You're going to be a special guest.
Aw, Gertie, we love you, Gertie. Oh,
she?
Wow, she seems bigger than Christmas.
Yep. She's at Grandma's house.
Aw.
Say hi to one of your fans.
Aw.
Thank you. Okay. Let's talk about the Wicker Man, Gert.
I love how Howie questions, how weird all the beliefs of these people are, and how they never have heard of Jesus. And Lord Summerisle was like, yes, the son of a virgin impregnated by ghosts.
Yeah, I know. I love it. He's witty as fuck.
Yes. So he explains that here the old gods aren't dead. And he says, well, what of the true God? He's dead. He can't complain. He had his chance in the modern...
He had his chance.
Yes. In the modern parlance, and he blew it.
I know. I love that.
So we learn that Lord Summerisle's grandfather, who was this very Victorian gentleman, he came to this abandoned island, basically, which everyone was starving, and brought back the pagan ways, while also using their volcanic soil and their warm Gulf strings to grow fruits that weren't naturally supposed to be there.
Yes.
And
which is a cool idea.
Yeah. So it brought back, they gave them back their joyous old gods. The ministers all fled the island, never to return. And to have reverence for the music and ritual and drama of the old gods, to love nature and fear it, to rely on it and to appease it. Howie is horrified by this. He goes, he brought you up to be a pagan. And this is where Howie reminds him he's the subject of a Christian country. And Lord Summerisle's like, well, it's been a great pleasure meeting a Christian copper.
Yes. No, he's great. That's a great role for you.
Yeah. He reminded me of my dad, actually. A lot. Yeah. So we go, Howie and Mr. Deltoid are digging up the coffin. They find a dead hare in the casket.
Yes.
Now, Howie barges into the manor again, where Lord Summerisle's just having a musical number, having a great time, dressed in his Scottish best.
Yeah. And he throws the fucking hair at Lord Summerisle. I found that in her grave. What if they really cared for their hairs?
Yeah.
This was a terrible, disgrace that you did to this body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Miss Rose is there, and she's just like, oh well, Rowan loved March Hares. It's a lovely transmutation, and he's just like, where is she? And she's like, she's a hare. You're supposed to be, yeah, no, and I love Lord Summerisle being like, where is she? You're supposed to be the detective here, Sergeant. So good.
And so Howie decides that Rowan was murdered under circumstances of pagan barbarity, and tomorrow he will return to the island, return to the mainland, and report to the chief constable of the West Highland to the affairs of this heathen Ireland. And Lord Summerisle says, "Well, okay, it's good you won't be here to be offended by our May Day celebration."
Yeah. And they're just like, don't be here for May Day.
And you can tell Christopher Lee is having a ball playing this fucking role.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. So
you look dead. Don't sit like that. You're gonna
now,
scare people.
now he's breaking into places, being benign and sneaky. He finds pictures of Lord Summerisle with the town folk, and then he finds the barren picture of 1972 where the crops failed.
Yes, where the crops failed, but Rowan's in it, right? Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, Rowan is there, so
yeah.
he's just like, oh, there's more calamity about.
Yeah. So he goes to the library. He finds out about the privileged simpleton, the king for a day, about the May Day festival, and how human sacrifice is sometimes done in extreme extreme circumstances.
It was extreme ejaculation of serpents.
Yes. And he assumes Rowan will be sacrificed tomorrow. So Harbor Master goes to take him to his plane. He says he'll be back with more police officers, and we see all these people in animal masks watching.
I just love that also, and he realizes that it's not going to start. And I'm like, did you not realize on your trip on the dinghy that your wheels were underwater there, buddy? Like, how did you get into the plane to figure that out? Would have been like, who fucked with my plane? Because you have to have the buoys underneath the fucking wheels on a plane in order to keep it afloat. It's all planes in the fucking water. I'm like, it's not going to start, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, I had no idea. But Howie starts accusing everyone of interfering.
How did he not see it? He was too, like, blind with rage. Oh, it's snowing.
Oh, so Howie starts accusing everyone of interfering. And but then he says, it's okay. This guy can row you back to the mainland. You'll be back in a week.
Yeah, you'll be back in a week. God, I just love how witty and fucking awful, like, some of the shit that these people say are, because it's just, he deserves every single one of it.
Yeah. So
every single thing he gets.
Yeah. So the May Day festival has begun. He starts following the dude in the kind of monstery outfit, and he's lured to the big feet. Yeah, the Morris go down.
It's the horseman, the man woman, and the man fool.
Yeah,
are like the leads of this May Day festival, according to like old pagan shit. Yeah.
So
he's following the horseman.
Yeah. So why don't you talk about leading up to when he gets to when he basically assaults one of the citizens and steals his clothes.
Well, yeah, this is fucked up. This fucking guy. So he says he's gonna like look through everyone's house. He's basically gonna break and enter everyone's house to like get to whatever he needs. He runs into some building and he spies on people just having a good time. And he's talking about you hear the Lord Summerisle talking about the goddess of the sun and the whatever goddess of the orchards.
Nuada, the goddess of the sun. And oh man, I'm always bad with these like fucking like Gaelic Celtic names, but
you're gonna make something rise from the dead.
Yeah.
So hail the Queen of May, and so they're gonna meet back there at 3:00 and like go throughout all these places. I wrote May cutting up woman. That doesn't sound safe. I don't think that happened. No, May's cutting up a fucking cake, like the little cake the baby. That's what that is.
Yeah,
so he's searching every house, and May says he'll never understand the true meaning of sacrifice, even after being like he asked her again about Rowan, and it is fucked up. Like you have this kid that you're just like, well, like it's a very Cain and Abel Bible thing, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, what kind of mother are you?
The Salmon of knowledge.
Salmon of knowledge. He knocks over some dolls having sex. He breaks into everyone's house. There's a Raggedy Ann doll. The registry lady is naked in a very small clawfoot bathtub, just biting her thumb.
Yeah, well, I like how he comes in and she's kind of like, you wanna?
Okay.
And of course
I
he's
love how they're all still tempting him.
Yeah.
The little bitch from the school is playing dead in a cupboard. We see that there's a big ship coming and there's a bunch of empty apple boxes because the crops are bad. Hence the whole May Day festival, right, Gert?
Yeah,
May Day, hail May Day.
yeah.
Um,
We find out that her Willow's father, the Alder McGregor, is the fool.
I love the scene earlier where he's just like, this costume gets tighter and tighter every year. Just like, it's hilarious. Yeah, so he finds he goes in a morgue. What? Oh yeah, salmon of knowledge. That's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
There's people making things. He's asking what's in everything. Just kind of like he's still like on his mission to find Rowan, but I feel like now he's just like blind with rage, as I said. He's
Yeah,
such a
yeah.
fucking goes through all the coffins at the morgue. There's a dead lady in one. So the sergeant wants whiskey. He's back at the tavern. And he shoots it down. He said that did he say he found the girl?
No.
No. He wants to find the girl. So he wants to take a nap. So he wants whiskey to take a nap, but he exhausted himself. And basically Willow and McGregor like are saying some shit.
But
yes.
Yeah, but it basically McGregor's going to be the fool. He knocks him out. He steals his clothes, which I'm sure the officer is committing a crime right there. But
yeah, he takes his costume and he ties him up. It's fucked up.
Yeah, and this was the thing. Like, I watched this and I'm like, did '70s audiences root for Sergeant Howie? Like, I really wonder. Like,
I find it hard to root for anybody in this.
Yeah, like so the procession, the procession begins. Lord Summerisle. I love that he yells at him for not dancing enough, and so
you call that dancing, McGregor?
Yeah. So, and I mean, there's all sorts of like sexy dancing. The girls are poking the fool in the butt with their swords, and then offering their own butts to be hit with like little sticks and everything. And then they form the star. And they behead the hare that he thinks is Rowan, and then of course it turns out that it's not her at all. Everybody's laughing, having a good time, and then Lord Summerisle was like, "Let's go to the beach," and he calls out to the gods of the sea, he chops a cask and rolls it into there now for a more dreadful sacrifice. And then we see Rowan Morrison, and she's been on the isle the whole time.
The whole time. I wonder if they kept her in that cave.
Maybe they kept it comfy though, but
so you could have a comfy cave.
Yeah, so Howie runs to her. He punches someone out and unties her. Rowan needs his help. Some weird classic rock song starts playing as she leads him into the cave, with the townspeople pursuing. And he appears to have saved Rowan, but Summerisle, Willow, and Miss Rose are waiting for him. Rowan runs to the Isle of Summerisle and says, "Did I do it right?" And he says, "You did it beautifully."
I also love, too, the quick change that Lord Summerisle had to have, because he was the man-woman in the procession, and then he's back in his regular garb on top of the cave. That was amazing.
And he explains that you're welcome, fool. You've come of your own free will to the anointed place, the game of the hunter. The hunted leading the hunter. We've found you and brought you here and controlled your every thought and action since you arrived. The crops failed for the first time since his grandfather came here, and the best way to offer to the gods is the god of the sun, and the goddess of the orchard is the sacrifice of a virgin adult.
Yeah. Virgin adult.
Yeah.
I missed the adult part. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, well, he said that, there's different levels of sacrifice. If you can do, like fruits, that's one thing. The next level is animals. The next level is children, but there is no greater sacrifice than a virgin adult, because it's so rare to find an adult who's still a virgin.
Yeah, I hope at the end of this they got their crops.
So I hope so too. We'll go into the ending in a second. I absolutely love how he demands, how Howie basically says, "I am a Christian," blah blah blah, and he goes, "Well, then then I'm giving you a rare gift of being a martyr. You will sit with the saints."
Yeah, Lord, that's a great fucking role, man.
Yeah.
Lord Summerisle's the best role in this, no doubt.
Yeah, so Howie tries to tell people their religion is fiction. Your crops failed because your strains failed, and it's unnatural. And next year they'll have to have another blood sacrifice. Next year your people will kill you on May Day if the crops fail.
I'm like, why are you trying to like change how they live their lives, man?
Yeah, yeah. So Summerisle says they will not fail, and they lead Howie with ominous drums to the Wicker Man. And it's loaded with animals, which, by the way, none of the animals were actually burned. They actually made 3 Wicker Men.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, they made 3. The animals did freak out because they had to have a fire in front of them so they could get that shot. Yeah. But they did not harm the animals. That was they made 3 of them purposely so that the animals and that the actor would be unharmed.
Thank God. So the Wicker Man, if you guys don't know what it is, it's a giant man made of wicker.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Don't worry about the animals. Thank God.
And then Howie, of course, starts really going to the worst place where he starts saying that God is the one who fucked up their orchard because they're all pagans.
Yeah, like you're not helping yourself there, buddy. And he's so focused on praying when he's locked in this wicker cage that I'm like, it's wicker. You can break through wicker.
Yeah, well, thick enough wicker you probably can't, especially if it's on fire. So.
Especially if it's on fire. Yeah, but there was like, as soon as they locked him in there, like there was a part like near the padlock where I was like, you can break through that. But instead he just prays and yells at them for their religion.
As they sing a song.
And they're so happy.
Mm-hmm. And then that is the end of the film. By the way, I should note that there were some American distributors that wanted him to put an extra part to the film. They wanted a happy ending where it starts raining and puts out the fire.
Ew.
Because the power of God protected him.
That's so American.
Oh, it was all American distributors that wanted this.
I hope they didn't do it. Well,
no, they didn't. They never did that.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Good.
And out of the stuff they cut out, 20 minutes of it was stuff on the mainland, learning who Sergeant Howie was.
Okay, well that's fine because he sucks anyway. It'd probably make me hate him more.
Yeah. So in 1989, Anthony Schaefer wrote a 30-page script treatment called The Loathsome Lambden Worm, which was a direct sequel. It would have been more fantastical in subject matter than the original film, relied more heavily on special effects. In this continuation of the story, which begins immediately after the ending of the film, Sergeant Howie is rescued from the burning Wicker Man by a group of police officers from the mainland. Howie sets out to bring Lord Summerisle and his pagan followers to justice, but becomes embroiled in a series of challenges which pit the old gods against his Christian faith. The script culminates in a climactic battle between Howie and a fire-breathing dragon, which is the Lambden Worm, and ends with a suicidal Howie plunging to his death from a cliff while tied to 2 large eagles.
What the actual fuck?
Yeah, it was never produced. They did not ask the new director to direct it, and he said he's never read the script, but he did not like the idea anyway.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he said
kind of silly.
His quote was, "Tony did write that, but I don't think anyone particularly liked it, or it would have been made." And
I wrote do they have fire extinguishers?
Yeah,
like that's just gonna burn the rest of your island, the Wicker Man.
and apparently there's the spiritual sequel, The Wicker Tree, which was directed by the same director. Yeah, which Christopher Lee is in that, but he's in a small role because he had an accident of some sort, because he was in his 70s or 80s when that was shot. So they had to give him a smaller role because he couldn't be as active as he would have been otherwise.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
At least they included him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the Wicker Man. You can't really have the Wicker Man without Christopher Lee. Because if you do, you end up with the mess we're going to cover next week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, for those of you who love the old school OG, I can do that because I'm a person of color. Because the OG cinematic Autopsy, where we used to just watch shitty films until 10 movies in, I was like, we can't do this anymore. These movies are making me hate life. You are in for a treat next week, as we're going to cover the Nicolas Cage remake, The Wicker Man, from 2000 something or other. I have it written down, but I don't have it in front of me.
I am just dreading this.
Yeah, I think we're all dreading it, but that will be the fun of it. We will be covering that.
Yeah, except for Errol, he's excited.
Yes. And aw, look at her. Oh my God, she's so.
I know.
So, Chelsea, where can people find you?
At my mom's. No, you can find me on Instagram at Chelsea.LeSage. Where can I find you, Charles?
At charles.d.lincoln. I can be found there on Instagram.
Yes, and then you can find us together
Together.
at CL Squared Productions on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
Yes.
Yes.
And tell them about our very disturbing film that we are currently at 32% of our goal.
We're at 32%. Yay!
Yes.
So Bishop's Cove is just this really fucked up, sexy, gory, bloody movie where we just I don't know. We're lucky and had the most resilient actors on the face of the planet.
Yeah. I would say only even one scene is really sexy. Most of the nudity is just disturbing nudity.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we will make you rethink the human body in its nude form. But we need your help. We need your help to get post-production finished. So we have an IndieGoGo campaign, and we're 32%. We're getting there.
Yep.
And you can help us with VFX and sound design and all and color correction and all that jazz, so that we can make it the most fucked up movie you've ever seen.
Yeah, you can check out the awesome score our composer David Denyer did for us, at least a minute of it, but it's still just like, oh my God, this is so haunting and awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Chelsea is our antagonist in it, so you can see Chelsea being a really, really creepy fucking demon in it. So
I'm creepy!
Yes. Like, you'll be stunned at how fucking just evil and fucked up Chelsea is able to make her character. So yes, so you can contribute to that at igg.me/at/Bishop's Cove Post. One word. Once again, that's igg.me/at/Bishop's Cove Post. Go there, check it out. We got cool perks. You can become a producer on our film. You can get all sorts of props, which I have. Well, they're not in the shot, but there's many boobs behind us. There's
many boobs.
There's parts of a person's head that got blown up. There's all sorts of crazy shit, and you will love it. You love it.
I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
So please donate if you can, or Gertrude will starve.
Aw.
I'm just
Don't do that.
I've never. Well, she's never been fed. I mean, look at her.
Yeah, exactly. People are going to be like, we're not going to contribute because that dog needs a diet. So, anyway,
sweet girl. I love you.
We love you anyway. There's more of you than love, dude.
So much to love.
Yeah. So, anyway, people, we want to thank you for tuning in. And all those people watching Dawn of the Dead, I hope you're watching too. And keep watching the insanity that is Cinematic Autopsy.
Yes,
so,
please.
Thank you very much. I've been Charles D. Lincoln.
I'm Chelsea LeSage. We are CL Squared Productions.
And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.